Alrighty, welcome back to Shock and Sherlock. I'm your host, Joshua Gillis, and today is now day 3 on day whatever of the 12 days of Christmas reviews. Today is my favorite Christmas movie. One of my favorite slasher movies. Probably is my favorite slasher movie. Other than, of course, Blood Rage, but my favorite, traditional, which is Black Christmas from 1974, directed by Bob Clark. Bob Clark's second all-time Christmas classic. He directed A Christmas Story, so this is not that. If you haven't seen Black Christmas by this point, it is about the residents of the sorority called Pi Kappa Sigma. They're preparing for the holiday season and Christmas. Everybody's about to go on vacation, be off from school, and a stranger begins calling the sorority house and leaving very disgusting, depraved messages, calling and just doing crank calls, but they're very disturbing and sexually charged and violent and gross. And one by one, the sorority sisters begin to get picked off by a killer that we see is in the house with them, hiding. And through this, we also get a side story with our main character of Jess, who is found, we find out that she's pregnant, and she wants to have an abortion, and that's sort of discussed with her boyfriend, who sort of makes an empty threat about what's going to happen. So we get a red herring, and such. But yeah, everybody starts getting picked off. Yeah, it's Black Christmas. Oh boy, I adore this film. I've probably seen Black Christmas at this point, 15, 16 times over the years. It's one of my favorite movies in general. I think the atmosphere that Bob Clark builds in this is unmatched in horror in general. I mentioned it in the Silent Night, Bloody Night review, but he also does something that I'm a sucker for, which is first-person serial killer perspectives, and the heavy breathing, and puts you in their shoes, and they're in these little spaces. It just makes the film just feel so claustrophobic. Almost the entire movie takes place in the sorority house. And it does feel like once the kills start happening, it feels like these people are stuck in a prison, that they aren't aware of yet, and it's just very creepy. And the killer, who calls himself Billy, is just so menacing on the phone, and the things that he says are so vile. It feels so realistic. It feels like the killer would talk like a killer would. He doesn't say one-liners. He's just deranged and evil sounding, but not cartoonishly. He's just completely out of his mind, and that is what makes him dangerous. The acting this wall to wall, perfect. Olivia Hussey as Jess is just stellar. Another one that I really liked, another performance, is Margot Kidder as Barb. A lot of people might know her as Lois Lane in the Superman movies, but I think this is definitely her best role. Bob Clark himself does the voice of Billy, and I believe plays Billy when he's eventually shown. Does a great job. Physically, it's just nasty. This is the scariest slasher movie in my opinion, because it feels so real, something that could happen. John Saxon in this as Lieutenant Fuller, stellar. It's just a really fantastic movie. The pacing is perfect. It's a Christmas horror movie that feels like a Christmas movie. A lot of times, Christmas horror movies they're lean way too far into it, and they go into something you get your snowman movies, you get your Santa movies, you get, what have you. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those, but this one is a slasher movie that still feels like a Christmas movie without being that far. Because on the other side, there are slasher movies that take place on Christmas, or horror movies that take place on Christmas, and the Christmas element is not significant to the story. And this one it is, and it just feels cold and oppressive and atmospheric, and a joyous time turns into a nightmare. It's just so good. The pacing is great. The character decision in this make sense relatively. Nobody's super dumb. Everything that happens kind of makes sense to the plot, and it never shies away. Nobody's safe in this. and is not afraid to be mean. It's a extremely bleak, mean, nasty movie, and I just absolutely love it for that. It's my favorite Christmas movie. It's one of the best horror movies ever made. So, if you haven't seen it, absolutely go watch it. It is 10 out of 10, perfect. The music, stellar. Special effects, stellar. Atmosphere, everything is perfect. I absolutely love this. If you're going to watch one of the remakes, there are two. Watch the first one from the early 2000s with the girl from Scott Pilgrim. Elizabeth, or Mary Winstead. Or, God, people are going to flame me. It doesn't matter. That one's fun. If you're looking to watch one of the remakes, if you haven't seen it, that's a fun one. I might do a review later on. But don't watch the later one. Terrible. But nothing can ever top the original, of course. It's a perfect film. So, yeah, that's it. 0 thoughts, 0 ratings, 0 brain cells, and 0 planning. Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Keep your notifications on, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks.